The gaslights flickered, casting eerie shadows on the cobblestone streets. On the cobbled streets of Cleveland, Ohio, a city bustling with the promise of the new century. It was the dawn of a new century, a time when the world was changing rapidly, a time of great wealth and even greater ambition. Fortunes were made overnight and dreams seemed within reach, and sometimes those dreams were simply imagined. Fantasies spun into the fabric of reality. Into this world stepped a woman of mystery and intrigue. Her name, they said, was Cassie Chadwick, a name that would soon be whispered in the corridors of power and wealth. But names, like fortunes, can be deceiving, can't they? They can be masks, hiding true intentions. She carried an air of importance, a hint of secrets that made people curious, even wary. Secrets that promised untold riches, secrets that could change lives forever, secrets that would soon ensnare a city. Cleveland, with its bustling streets and ambitious citizens, was ripe for the taking. She wasn't always Cassie Chadwick, no. Her story began far from the opulence of Cleveland. She was born Elizabeth Bigley, in a small town called Eastwood, Ontario, Canada. Her beginnings were humble, ordinary you might say, but there was nothing ordinary about young Elizabeth. Even as a child, she had dreams that reached far beyond her small town, dreams of wealth, power, and a life far removed from the ordinary. Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate. A man whose name echoed through the corridors of power and wealth in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. His name was synonymous with unimaginable wealth, power, influence. He built an empire of steel that transformed the American landscape. He was a titan of industry, a man who could bend the will of the market to his favor, shaping the very fabric of modern industry, a king in all but name. And Cassie Chadwick? She was a woman of ambition, cunning, and unparalleled audacity. She decided she would be his princess, his secret illegitimate daughter, a claim that would shock and captivate society. It was a bold claim, audacious, one that required not just nerve but a masterful plan. Some might even say insane, but in the world of high stakes and high society, sometimes the most outrageous lies are the ones most readily believed. But Cassie wasn't just anyone. She had a gift for persuasion, for weaving tales so intricate and compelling that they seemed to become reality, a gift for making people believe the unbelievable. It was almost hypnotic. Her eyes, her voice, her very presence could draw people into her web of deception. How does one become the secret daughter of a man like Carnegie, especially when he's never heard of you? Cassie had a plan that was as intricate as it was daring, especially when he's never heard of you. Cassie had a plan. It involved more than just words. It involved creating a tangible, believable story. It involved forged promissory notes, documents that looked so authentic they could fool even the most discerning eye. Notes for vast sums of money, millions. These notes were the cornerstone of her elaborate ruse, supposedly signed by Carnegie himself. The signatures were perfect, indistinguishable from the real thing. She'd flash them, casually, as if they were just another part of her everyday life. And people believed her. They believed in the Carnegie connection. The banks, those stoic institutions of finance, they were her primary targets, her stage. She would arrive, dressed in the finest clothes, dripping with jewels. She'd speak in hushed tones about her father, Andrew Carnegie, and the vast sums he had supposedly entrusted to her. She'd present her forged notes, promissory notes, for hundreds of thousands, even millions, signed, she claimed, by Carnegie himself. They looked real, felt real, to these eager bankers. The bankers listened, intently. They saw not a con woman, but an opportunity, if this was Carnegie's daughter. Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, they called it Millionaire's Row, the grandest street in the city, lined with mansions, homes of the wealthy, the powerful. And soon Cassie Chadwick had one too, a magnificent house, filled with opulent furnishings, fine art, antiques. Servants bustled about, attending to her every whim. She lived like a queen whose kingdom was built on phantom gold. But it felt real, so very real. Her wardrobe was legendary. Dresses from Paris, hats from London, jewels that sparkled with a cold, hard light, diamonds. Section 5. The Banker's Blind Spot, a web of deceit. How did she do it? How did one woman fool so many? So many supposedly astute businessmen, bankers, lawyers. For so long, it was more than just forged signatures, or a convincing sob story. Cassie understood human nature. She understood greed and vanity. She knew people wanted to believe, especially if believing could make them rich, or make them feel connected to power. That was her true genius. She exploited their assumptions, their desires. Bankers saw her, a woman, perhaps a little naive about finances. They saw the name Carnegie, and their critical faculties. They just switched off. Section 6. Cracks in the facade, the weight of 1,000 lies. For nearly a decade she danced on the edge of discovery, of ruin. But the music couldn't play forever. Could it? The year was 1904. The whispers were growing louder, not just whispers of admiration but whispers of doubt. Some creditors were becoming impatient, the promised payments, the interest, it wasn't always forthcoming. Excuses were made, more stories were spun, but even Cassie's charm, it had its limits. One man, Herbert B. Newton, a Massachusetts banker, he held one of Cassie's notes for $190,800. He decided to sue. Section 7. The Unraveling Thread, Arrogance and the Inevitable Fall, Cassie's Confidence. It had been her greatest asset, but now, it became her fatal flaw. Even as the walls closed in, she maintained her composure, her denials. She insisted the notes were genuine, that Carnegie would eventually confirm her story. Perhaps she believed it herself, after all those years, living the lie. Maybe the line between fiction and reality, it had blurred, even for her. Her arrogance was astounding. When investigators finally searched her Euclid Avenue mansion, they found a treasure trove, not of Carnegie's gold, but of evidence, more forged notes, hidden away, practice signatures. Section 8. The chase in the courtroom, justice catches up. With her world collapsing, Cassie fled. She had always been a master of deception, but now the walls were closing in. Her once grand life was unraveling at an alarming pace. She ran to New York, hoping to disappear, to evade the inevitable. The bustling streets of early 20th century New York offered anonymity, or so she thought. She believed the city's chaos would swallow her whole, making her just another face in the crowd, but there was no escape, not now. The shadows of her past loomed large, and every corner she turned seemed to whisper her name. The authorities were relentless, and the net was closing in. The police were on her trail. They had pieced together her web of lies and deceit. The manhunt was extensive, involving officers from multiple states, all determined to bring her to justice. The newspapers chronicled her every rumored move. The great heiress, now a fugitive. Headlines screamed of her exploits, and the public was riveted by the unfolding drama. Every new detail added to the legend of Cassie Chadwick. It was a dramatic turn, a fall from grace, that captivated the nation. The story of a woman who had once been at the pinnacle of society, now reduced to a hunted criminal, was too sensational to ignore. She was arrested in her hotel room, December 1904. The moment was both tragic and inevitable. The law had finally caught up with her, and there was no more running. The game was truly up. Her trial, it was a sensation. The courtroom was a stage, and Cassie was the star. Every word, every gesture was scrutinized by a nation hungry for justice. In March 1905, the trial commenced. It was the event of the year, drawing spectators from all walks of life, eager to witness the downfall of the infamous heiress. The courtroom in Cleveland was packed, every seat was filled, and the air was thick with anticipation. People jostled for space, desperate to be part of the historic moment, spectators eager to catch a glimpse of the woman who had fooled them all. They wanted to see the face of the person who had orchestrated such an elaborate scheme, who had danced on the edge of society's rules and almost gotten away with it, of the woman who had fooled them all. Cassie Chadwick's story was a cautionary tale, a reminder of the thin line between ambition and deceit. Her trial was not just about her crimes but about the society that had allowed her to rise so high, only to watch her fall. Section 9. The Iron Bars of Reality, a conwoman's chilling end. The Ohio Penitentiary, a grim, foreboding place. Stone walls, iron bars, a far cry from the silk sheets and champagne breakfasts of her former life. Cassie Chadwick, the Queen of Con, was now just another inmate. Prisoner number 2096. The lavish gowns were replaced by coarse prison garb, the glittering jewels, by the stark reality of confinement. Her reign of deception had led her here, to this cold, unforgiving place. She didn't adapt well to prison life. Reports from the time suggest she was often ill, her spirit, once so vibrant and audacious,